I have a couple MCU stories here from BuyingTheComics.com. Thor: Love and Thunder director Taika Waititi pushes back against film critics. If you want it to be exactly like the comic, read the comic. Yes, forget the fact that we want a live-action adaptation of the comics, you idiot. But anyway, apparently still unable to accept the fact that his attempts to subvert audience expectations with the Golden Avengers fourth film completely missed the mark. Director Taika Waititi has attempted to deflect the near universal criticisms of Thor 4's quality by painting those unhappy with his work as comic purists whose only complaints are that the film is not exactly like the comic. Man who hollowed out, and it goes on and talks about basically he was speaking in reflection of the film's production for the Thor: Love and Thunder, the official movie special book. Per a transcript, he found it very difficult to nail down the film's tone, as he was torn between his incessant need to add his tired brand of humor to everything and the gravity of Jane Foster's cancer-based storyline. Well, you failed. It's an ongoing battle because I want my films to be entertaining, I want a lot of humor in them, to poke fun not only at the idea of the space Viking, but also to poke fun at humans and how we bumble our way through life on this planet. The comic runs very serious, and yada yada, you gotta find the right tone, and I don't think he did it. We struggled with that. I think he struggled with it. Everything. I'll link both these articles in the description box. You can read them for yourself. But basically, he is. If you want a kind of a quippy, bullshit, kiddie kind of humor, shit stuff for your comic movies, he's your guy. If you want anything at all remotely resembling serious and drama, I don't think he's capable of doing that. That's just me. Others may disagree. You might like his movies or whatever. I think he's an overrated hack myself, but that's just me. Moving on to the next story, after Vanity Fair claimed the Marvels clocked in with a $130 million budget, Forbes now shares the movie's budget is an enormous $274 million. Vanity Fair, they've since updated their article and removed any mention of the movie's production budget in their original story. Then they talk about archive exist, which I always like using, for a lot of these things. The Marvels is the highest budgeted movie or film ever helmed by a black woman. Yada yada yada. It goes on. Matt McGloin of Cosmic Book News. So sequel to a $1 billion movie gets the lowest budget. Doesn't add up. We got this covered. Danny Peterson speculated the lower budget meant the movie on a smaller scale. Actually, I wish that were true. I wish that the budget was only $130 million because just in the sense that I think it would make it a better movie. I'm not exactly looking forward to the movie. I'm not as down on it as others. I thought that the trailers have looked okay. It's not, I don't know. Maybe it's just my own thing or whatever. I don't think the movie will be as terrible as some are saying. But hey, I could absolutely 100% be wrong. So I mean, very easily. Then it goes on and talks about how various people have called the $130 million budget into question, and everything. And it goes on and it talks about that this could be from a, like the first 2 months is what Forbes had reported back in April. But Forbes' Caroline Reed dropped a new report claiming the budget is actually upwards of $274 million. Blockbuster budget is disclosed in company filings released yesterday by the Disney subsidiary which made the movie. They show that over the 2-year period from the incorporation of the movie or of the company to September 30th, 2022, it spent $274.8 million and banked a $55 million subsidy from the government of the UK where the movie was made. This brought its net spending down to $219.8 million. However, it's likely this is not even the final production budget, as the production company incorporated in the UK will likely to continue to report its financial dealings for a number of years to come, as we've seen with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Avengers Endgame, and other Disney productions filmed in the UK. Nevertheless, Reed claims the Marvels will need to grow at least $439 million just to break even. But that's using the 2 times factor based on the net budget. It says usually conservative predictions use a 2.5 factor, and then some also talk about using a 3 times factor. I don't know which the right one, because a lot of it depends. Because the reason that they usually will sometimes go with the 3 times or whatever is if they're spending a ton of money promoting it. And it's but if you choose not to spend tons of money, because if you go with the 3 times factor, or the 3 times number and everything, that's assuming a lot of coverage in terms of ads and everything. The 2.5, I think, is kind of, splitting the difference. Because the 2 times, I could see it. I could see that being true for some movies, but in terms of a big MCU movie, maybe not. I don't know. Me personally, I would just split the difference and go with a 2.5 times factor, which means it needs to hit about 550 million. So we'll see. But I mean, it's hard to say for sure. Anyway, excuse the rambling there, but it basically needs to gross at minimum as much as Ant-Man 3 did. You know, and then they talk about what do you make of this new report claims of Marvel's production budget upwards of $270 million. I'm not surprised. It's bad news. It shows that they haven't learned. It shows that they did have numerous reshoots for the movies, for this movie and stuff, which is another thing they need to get rid of. I mean, I understand at the same time that the reshoots are necessary to have the movie be better, but how many of these movies, when they have a bunch of reshoots, is the movie actually better? At a certain point in time, it's almost like, let's just throw this shit out there. I don't know. It's because we've heard the same thing about Aquaman 2 and so on and so forth. And I don't know. Generally, reshoots are bad. But anyway, like I said, I'll link both of these in the description box if you want to read them for yourself. This doesn't bode well for the movie, especially if the budget's 274 million, like minimum, which means it could be 300 million or whatever. That's absolutely insane to me. But okay, like I said, I'll link these in the description box. You can read them for yourself. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.